Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I think those are interesting points, and I'm going to explore some of those a little bit further if I have time, as far as looking at some new paradigms as to how we provide education, which I think is interesting. But I'm also interested in data, and as we were talking about the openings, the job openings that are available, I'd like to have a better sense of where those job openings are. There's been a discussion about manufacturing. Certainly I hear that as I travel around Michigan. Manufacturers are having similar issues as you're having in Ohio. It's no different in Michigan. But when I've looked at some Bureau of Labor data, it seems that in terms of openings, it's in areas like food services, it's in hospitalities, which are far above the average of openings. Many, many more openings in those jobs tend to be lower wage jobs. Dr. Stevenson, I think you mentioned some of that in your testimony. Where is the data? Where are most of the job openings out there? What sorts of skills, what sort of job classifications? What I saw are healthcare, social assistance, daycare, food services. Is that accurate? Where's the data?
Yeah, so I think it's really important that we distinguish between job openings and job growth, because we do have a lot of underlying churn. So there will be a lot of hiring, millions of jobs hired in manufacturing, even if as a sector, manufacturing is declining. So we do have to think about this, because if manufacturing as a sector is declining, it means it's like a game of musical chairs where they keep pulling out some of the chairs, but we're still going to have a whole bunch of new workers going into that field. And I think that highlights the need for us to provide training that's adaptable and movable and is general enough that students, or graduates, workers are able to move to other sectors if they find themselves short of one of those seats when they're working in a declining sector. The sectors that are growing are in the service sector. In general, the goods producing sector is in decline, and manufacturing is part of that. And this is a longer run trend. And where we're seeing growth is education and health services and business and professional services. And that is some of the reason why you see these strong returns to college education. But it's also just a shift in a global society where we think about where is the U.S. really strong, and we're really strong in services. We export a lot of business and professional services. And I think we'll continue to see job growth in those areas, even though we're going to continue to see hiring in sectors that are not growing as quickly.
The other area that I find interesting, and we heard some comments earlier about employers having to do some training, and certainly Mr. McLemore, you've talked about that as well, is that when I came out of college, I did go through a very extensive training program that the company provided for me. And yet we have seen what I think is a troubling trend, that more and more employer paid training is going down. It used to be, I think in '96, about 1 in 5 companies, 1 in 5 employees that came in had some sort of employer training. Now that number is extremely low, and employers are just expecting folks to be trained when they walk in the door instead of investing in their employees. That's not what it was like when I came out of college. Is that an accurate reflection? Are those numbers indeed accurate? You're shaking your head, Dr. Stevenson.
Yes, that is accurate, and frankly, it's quite puzzling, because we see we've seen a decline in mobility, so workers are spending more time with their employers, and yet their employers are investing less in them. And I don't have a good explanation for why that is, but it is certainly what we're seeing.
So you're seeing less employer investment in employees, and you're seeing wages that are not going up even though there are shortages. That doesn't seem to comport with classical economics, does it?
It does not.
Anybody else have a comment on that? Why is there a disconnect? There's shortages of skills, employers are not investing in skills, and they're not paying more to attract folks to come into their businesses. Any other ideas? Dr. Harrison?
Well, the only thing I would add to that is we work with a lot of small businesses who don't necessarily have the means to train their employees in the way that you're talking about, or employees are true multitaskers. So what we're working on with our Chamber of Commerce and others is to figure out ways to pool that so that becomes a more collective approach, so that the employer is benefiting, but we're also able to really build the skill set of our region.
Let me, in the remaining time, because it's getting low here. I mean, one area that does train folks are labor unions, particularly in the building trades, that have very extensive apprenticeship programs. I've toured many of them in Michigan. Complete training, students can come in, get basically free training, and get a great job afterwards. And yet we've seen a declining number of union jobs. Is that related to it? Dr. Stevenson, you're shaking your head again as well. I mean, what's
Yeah.
with declining labor and apprenticeship programs? To me, that's a significant problem.
That is a significant problem with declining unionization, declining union investment and training. Somebody has to pick up the slack, and that's either going to be businesses, and they haven't been doing that, or it's going to be government.
Great. Thank you.